Hello there my lovely frugal friends, I am Samantha if you have not been here before, and this is the channel Trying to Get By. This video is a what we've had for tea video, and I'm showing you 3 things that we have had for tea over the past week or so. Some worked better than others. All were really tasty, but sometimes it doesn't come out quite the way you want, but you just have to go with the flow, and as long as it tastes good, it doesn't necessarily have to look pretty on the plate. Have a look and tell me what you think. Tonight's tea is giving me stir-fry vibes. So we've got a bag of stir-fry mix that I got off an oleo, so I'm going to use that up. I've also got a block of tofu that I just wrapped in a cloth and pressed. So I just put the wok on top of it with a bit of weight inside the wok just to press it down. So that has made this cloth really quite wet. So we have got our tofu that has been pressed. Just on that cloth in sync for now. Then I need to create like a mixture for that tofu to make a nice bit of flavour. So to be lazy, I'm just using the tub that the tofu was brought in. I'm going to put in a good couple of probably a good 3 tablespoons of soy sauce in there, a little bit of hot sauce just to amp up the flavour, not too much, about 4 dashes. We are going in with some miso as one of my favourite flavour enhancers. I'm just going to use the whisk to scoop out, that's probably a teaspoon. A little bit of garlic paste, which is probably the equivalent of a big garlic clove. The reason I've done it in here is because I'm lazy and I can't bother washing up today. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix. If you need to, you can always put in a little bit of warm water just to get the miso paste to break down. But if you just push it off and just kind of mash it with your whisk, it will eventually break down pretty well. There we go, that's not too bad. So tofu wise, what I'm going to do, just move that out of the way. So Chris needs some sandwich filling, so I'm going to cut, there's a little bit of something on there, there we go. I'm going to cut a couple of slices of tofu to go on his sandwiches, and then the rest of the tofu I'm going to cube up. So first of all, I'm going to put in Chris's slices into this plastic container and just put a little dribble of that sauce on, just rub it around a bit. I don't want to put too much on because I don't want to overpower his sandwiches. So, and then another one on top with, again, a little dribble. Spread that around. And so the rest of this tofu is going to be cubed. This is cauldron tofu. I find it's a little bit, oh, I didn't make my cubes very even then. I find it a little bit better than the brand Tofu, just because it's a bit more square, whereas the brand Tofu is a bit hit and miss on its shape. So I know I can get a bit more even cuts and squares, and particularly if I'm doing slices. So the cubes I'm going to just put at this end, making sure each one touches the base. I should have put that in nice and neatly, but I didn't. There we go. And then I am just going to dribble or drizzle this marinade over the top of each cube. Now you can see there's a lot more flavour going on those. All the way down, use it all up. There we go. Now instead of having to wash up, that's just going to go in the recycling or in the bin, depending on what your recycling program says. This I'm going to leave for a while. Now if you're worried about too much flavour getting over to that side, just tilt it up slightly and it will keep the flavour down this end, but because I've spread it out all over, it should be good. I'm just going to cover that with a cloth, because I don't know if you're having the same issue as me, but the summer, well, springy summery weather's starting to kick in, and the flies. Why do the flies come in and then not find their way out? Literally, I've got the door open, they came in through the door, do they not know how to get out? They have to bang their heads against the window and knock themselves unconscious. Oh well. I'm just covering this to protect from the flies. So to start with, I'm just going to take these out very carefully and pop them in the air fryer gently, just to air fry off, ready for Chris's lunch. And I'm going to leave the others to, got to be so careful, continue sitting in the marinade for a little bit longer. So here's the air fryer cooked tofu. You can hear it's gone nice and crispy. It's not burnt, it's just dark, obviously because of the soy sauce. The other 2 slices that I did are in the fridge ready for Chris's lunch. Separate to this, I have also made some rice. So that is all done and dusted. Literally 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of water, boiling water in a pan, lid on, and cook it until the water runs out. It takes about 8 minutes. That's separate. In here I've got some coconut oil, heated up nicely. I've got my stir fry pack that we got from our free oleo bag, Chinese inspired stir fries, water chestnut, bamboo shoots and crunchy vegetables, including, let's see what is in here. We have got bean sprouts, cabbage, water chestnuts, bamboo shoots and peppers and carrots. They are going in nice and hot. It's just a case of warming these through, and depending on how you like your Chinese style veggies cooked, if you like them softer, my mother-in-law would have them practically mush with 7 tons of soy sauce on top of them, and that is absolutely fine. You cook them the way you like them. I like them so they've still got a bit of crunch. I want my water chestnuts to be nice and crunchy, so I'm going to pop a bit of that in there. I'm going to throw in a little bit of garlic to mirror the garlic that we had in the tofu. And you're just keeping this moving. Obviously you're never going to get as hot as in a Chinese restaurant with their massive flames, but you just want to get it as hot as you can do. Go in with a swish of soy sauce, so just swing it around. You're probably noticing, as usual, I'm throwing food around and all over the place. This is why I use the biggest pan I can possibly use. I'm now going to go in with our rice. This has been cooked and cooled slightly, so it's not fully hot rice. Now, if you want to, you could go in now with some coconut milk. It depends on how saucy you want your dish. If you're up for a drier dish, then just leave it as is. Just make sure everything's nice and hot. So we're just going to cook this off for a minute or 2 until everything is nice and steamy, but just keep it moving so that you're not ending up with big globs of rice that are all stuck together. So keeping that heat high, keep it moving, and now it's time to add in your tofu or your chicken or whatever you're using. That's still quite hot from the air fryer, so all you're going to do is just mix it in, and there you go. That is our tea for tonight. Nice and easy, bit of rice, freebie veggies and some tofu, and tofu for Chris's lunch. So we're going to turn it off, have a taste. There we go. How's that look? Mm. Really good. Light, tasty, light with the soy, a little bit of spice. Really good. Tonight's tea is going to be a bit of a throw it together, and if you think my voice sounds a bit funny, it's because I've got terrible hay fever today. I haven't had it bad for ages, but my nose is so stuffed. My nose is so red. Oh, it's so sore. Oh, it hurts so much. Anyway, so tonight's tea, I'm kind of doing a throw it together in the Instant Pot, but on the slow cooker function. So I've got this pineapple that we've had in the freezer for ages. Some sweet potatoes in the bottom of the fridge. There's like 2/3 of a pepper, an onion, coconut milk, a can of beans. And we're going to throw in some curryish style flavours. Now, I did look this up on a recipe on my favourite Pinterest, and I will put a link to it, but I'm kind of, you know, doing my thing and adapting it, because you got to do what you got to do when you got the ingredients you've got. So first thing I'm going to do is go in with my can of coconut milk, which I have showed you in the past. 94% coconut extract, which is brilliant. It's so thick. It's absolutely gorgeous. So all that is going in there. We're then going to add our seasoning flavours. So we're going in with a tiny sprinkle of chilli. These are chilies that I dried up and have crushed up myself. So the seeds and everything in there. So we're going in with a tiny bit because Chris is a wimp. We're going in with about a teaspoon of turmeric, a teaspoon and a half of cumin. Oh, that's lovely. There we go. And then about a teaspoon and a half of garlic powder, or granules, whatever you've got. There we go. And if you've got turmeric, get in with that black pepper. Just makes it work so much better. Oh, if I can get the lid off. There we go. Just a few sprinkles of black pepper. I'm just going to give this a little bit of a mix. There we go. Already smells great. Next, I'm going to go in with my sweet potatoes down at the bottom so they can soak in the liquid. There we go. That's about 3 smallish sweet potatoes. And then onion and peppers. There we go. And the beans. I'm using white kidney beans. Why? Because it's what I've got. And I've not used these before, although stray red kidney. And the pineapple is already chunked up, so I'm just going to throw that in there and give this a little bit of a mix. So some of the juice of the pineapple has gone in there as well. Mix everything up. I'm going to rinse out my can with just a little bit of water, just to loosen it up a little bit. So that's about half a can of water, and I will just swish it round to get some of that stuff off the sides, because most other coconut milks will be a lot thinner than that. So that's it. There we go. Pop the lid on. Slow cooker. About 4 hours on high, 8 hours on low. We're going to go for the 4. Helps if you plug it in, which is what I say most days. Okay. Plug it in. Where are we? Slow cook. 4 hours. On high. Start. Done. I had this on for 4 hours, and that is plenty of time for the size of sweet potato that I did. Yeah, I'm still, can you still hear it in my voice? Oh, my nose is running so much. I've taken an allergy tablet. Hopefully it's just a bit of hay fever. Apparently we've had a bit of a pollen bomb across the area, and my nose, oh my gosh, it's so red. Anyway, stirring up this looks amazing. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it is a lovely orangey colour. Maybe it's just from looking through the back of the camera, it looks a bit pale, but no, it's a lovely orangey colour. The sweet potato is, as you can see, lovely and soft. It smells amazing. The sauce is so good. It is very soupy. You could have this with rice. You could do it with noodles. We're just going to have it in a bowl with some naan bread. Going to be amazing. So I'm just going to dish it up. And if there's any leftover liquid from it, what I'm going to do is just decant that separately and use it for a sauce for another curry, which will be really, really great. Oh, main thing, these beans. So these are white kidney beans. I've not had these before. I bought them a little while ago from Asda. So there we go. Now, if you're not a big fan of normal red kidney beans because the skin's too thick, because that's the main thing I'm not a big fan of on red kidney beans. I'll eat them, but I don't like thick-skinned beans. These are much, much nicer, much softer, and I've not got that horrible skin on them. Really good. And the pineapple's not too over the top. It just gives you that nice little sweetness in the background. I think for me, though, I could probably add a little bit of extra chilli, but Chris has tasted it, and for him, he said it's perfect. So you do you. I'm doing Chris. I might just put a little dash of hot sauce in mine. Chris is going to be late home from work tonight, and I'm thinking, what can I put together? So I've decided to find some mushrooms that we had in the fridge, pepper, onion, tomatoes. These are potatoes that I'd already pre-cooked in the pressure cooker earlier in the week. So I'm just going to saute off these, and these. So that's the onions, peppers and mushrooms. I'll throw in the tomatoes and peppers in a bit, and we're just going to turn it into like an omelette frittata type dish. The peppers, mushrooms and onions have cooked really well. So I'm now going to throw in this cooked potato. So like I said, this was done in my Instant Pot. So I cooked them for about, I think it was about 12 minutes. And then just let them natural release for about 10-20 minutes. And they're just all cooked through. So I'm just going to cook these again for another 5 minutes or so, just so everything's nice and warm through. In the meantime, I am going to crack these eggs, pop them in a container, add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and I'm going to grate a little bit of vegan feta, pop that in there, and then that's ready to add to the veggie mixture. All these veggies are hissing and spitting and doing their thing, and in here I have got 4 eggs, salt, pepper and the feta that we are using, and we are literally just going to dump all that in. Now if it doesn't spread over, just give it a bit of a wiggle and a jiggle. Oh, that's enough to make people feel a bit nauseous. Sorry about that. If you don't want to do that, just use your wooden spatula to kind of jiggle everything together and just let it to do its thing. Eggs are great. I love eggs, especially Rachel's eggs that I know have been well looked after. You know, that's my little preachy bit. Lovely fresh eggs from a friend are better than eggs from the shops. We're going to leave this a few minutes. If it's not cooked enough on the top but has been cooked enough on the bottom, I'm going to stick it under the grill and we'll just see how it comes out. The eggs are pretty much cooked. I can't be bothered sticking it under the grill. You know, sometimes your stomach overrides what you're doing, so I'm just going to scoop this out. It's going to be like a hash. There we go. It's still going to taste absolutely amazing. We're going to have it a little bit with salad. There we go. Turn the oven off, or the hob off, and have a little bit of a taste. There we go. Yummy. Oh yeah. What's not to like? This is something what I really enjoy, is eggs with vegetables and a little bit of flavours added through either salt and pepper, spices, cheese, whatever you need. Really good with some salad. That's tea for tonight. Okay, I admit it, those eggs did not turn out the way I wanted them to. My intention was to make an omelette stroke frittata. I know where I went wrong. For the size of the pan I had, 4 eggs was nowhere near enough to fill up all the spaces and hold the whole thing together. However, as an egg vegetable hash, it worked a treat and was really, really good. And in fact, I should have thought of that straight at the beginning. I do have a smaller cast iron pan that I could have used for the volume of stuff that I had, and I should have done that instead. But hey ho, we roll with the punches here, and one thing we don't do is waste food. There was no way I was going to think to myself, oh well, it's not worked out so we can't have it. You eat what's there, because food doesn't always have to look pretty as long as it tastes good. And those eggs tasted delicious. But saying that, so did the other dishes that we used. Chris even liked his tofu sandwiches. I'd not made that before, and he was a bit dubious because he's so used to having his fake meats, which, you know, is for somebody who's gone through 40 plus years of being a meat eater to then completely scrub it out. It's a nice transition period if you can filter in some transition products, which is what was quite useful. We are using less and less of that ham purely because the prices have shot up so much. So we're finding alternatives to use for his sandwiches. So he said he liked his tofu sandwiches, so we'll be making those again. We've also been doing other alternatives. If you would like to see some of our sandwich fillings that we do use for Chris, so we do lots of alternatives as well to break up the monotony, because same sandwich day after day can get a bit boring. So we try and mix it up, and we do use some other things in there. So if you'd like to see what we use, let me know. Let me know in the comments as well if you use different things for sandwiches. So obviously not meat products because we don't eat meat, but you know, give us some ideas of the sorts of things that you like to use. And in terms of our Instant Pot tasty curry-ish dish, was really, really nice. I did have loads left over. That's gone in the freezer, which is mostly saucy, so I'll probably use it as a soup, or like I said in the recording bit of that, have it with some rice, have it with some noodles. It'll make a really nice soupy noodle dish. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and what we made this past week and a bit.